Hey guys, I'm back again. So I was discussing about the chat system, and we will continue from there. Okay, so we discussed the initial way of doing it, the inefficient way, where we inject the data into the system prompt itself. But let's talk about what I did and what makes it better. So what I did was we had Gemini. So far so good. And then we have tool calls. So what are tool calls? So tool calls are basically, instead of feeding Gemini the entire stuff in the prompt, what we do is we give Gemini the tools and tell him what the tools are for and how can he use them, and let him intelligently decide if the tools are required. So what I mean by this is, in the last example I said how a human searches. A human search by pasta in Italy. And if you cannot get the exact video you are looking for, then you refine your search. You iteratively make it better. So that's what we are trying to achieve with Gemini. Because Gemini is an artificial intelligence system. So what we want Gemini to do is it to decide what the keywords that needs to be searched, how many pages to go in, and if it even needs to be searched or not. In my case, I had basically two tools. One is semantic search, another is vector search. So this is the same components that build up my search system. But because I cannot bother the user with the technical definition of which is what, so I'm combining both the searches into a best case scenario that works most of the time. But because Gemini is more technical, I have given it two tools. One is semantic search, which works by regex search, and another is vector search, which works by closer proximity index. I let Gemini decide based on the tool, based on the system prompts, and in the system prompt, I define what tools it got and how to use them and what it can expect out of it. And then Gemini decides itself based on the user query if tool calls are required, or even if tool calls are required, then which tool to call, how many times to call. So basically, you can also define how many times a tool needs to be called, because this is an iterative process. You text Gemini something, let's say pasta in Italy, right? Then Gemini thinks, okay, fine, pasta in Italy. Let's do a semantic search about it. Then it finds nothing. Then it thinks, okay, let's do a vector search about it. Maybe it finds three things. Then maybe Gemini thinks, okay, see if user means something else, and then there's another tool call, right? So it can get into a chain and it can become endless loop. So you can limit how much times the tools are called. By default it is 10, and I think we are also using the same thing. Okay, now getting back to the tool calls. In the semantic search, we have a function that search the database using the keywords for semantic item matches, and also it is page generator, so the Gemini can define how many items to bring, and it also knows how many items are left in the database, so it can intelligently decide what to do next. So that's how the Gemini works better in our case. So it also has some disadvantages of it, so I would like to discuss that in the next video. I hope to see you guys there.
See you later. Take care.